20 minutes of content that we're going to cover here about raising healthy families, and then we'll answer any questions that come up in the comments section here. So I'm going to go ahead and skip my video that I had here. So really what we're going to talk about is raising healthy families, and really where raising healthy families start is with mom. You can see here, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, women make about 80% of healthcare decisions in the United States. So they're really the primary decision makers when it comes to primary care for the family and for the entire family. So that's really where with putting when we talk about healthy families, it's the moms that are the one and the women that are making the decisions, and it's I don't know if unfortunate is the right word, but a lot of times the healthcare decisions do fall on the woman or the mom of the household, but it's, in my opinion, very unfortunate because moms oftentimes are the ones that are neglected because they are very selfless when it comes to really putting the health of everybody else first. And so they're oftentimes the last ones to take care of themselves or to do something as it pertains to health for themselves, because again, just because if you can see right here that they're always thinking about others in the family and what decisions need to be made. And so really, like I said, it comes down to helping, where I think it's very important is helping moms obviously get them important information as it pertains to health and what true health is, but also not neglecting them and making sure that they are coming on board or coming along with, so to say, on that health journey, and making sure that they're healthy as well. So this is just a slide that we put together. This is what do women really want. Now I don't know this for 100% certain, but just in some of my interactions and time as a healthcare provider, these are some things that I've seen, and they really are a healthy relationship with their spouse. If it comes to becoming a mother, or multiple children, if this isn't a first or second child, they really want that trouble-free conception, pregnancy, and birth. There's unfortunately, a lot of pregnancy issues that are not just coming from women. So it's not just the woman's troubles with getting pregnant. There are a lot of contraception struggles nowadays. Women really want to be a great mom. They want to look young and beautiful, kind of get their sexy back after the kids, right? And they want to have that time and energy to do it all, have that successful career, but also being able to take care of the family and having adequate family time. And then when we progress in terms of our age, we want good bone density and a good posture. I hear a lot from women as they get a little bit older. They worry about fractures and falls, but then what we call that Dahlweger's hump, which is just kind of that hump in the back of the spine there that occurs because of poor posture. And really, they just want to have fun, be really able to enjoy the golden years and not be a burden on their family. So jumping into kind of the kids aspect of it. So like I said, really where this all starts with is mom. And so it's really important to have mom have the right information to make those decisions. But this is our reality, folks. And this was, as you can see by the slide here, this was back in 2013. These are, whoa, I'm gonna go back there. These are the top 10 health concerns of our children. And obesity, stress is becoming of utmost importance and relevant, given our current circumstances. And so these are just things that we see that are plaguing our children. Hold on here. Sorry, I think I'm having some delays. There we go. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. All right. So sorry about that. So really the next generation, you can see here, according to some research out of the New England Journal of Medicine, over the next few decades, life expectancy for the average American could decline by as much as 2 to 5 years. So really, this is going to be the first substantial drop. And I've also seen some other research that says that the generation coming up, this is going to be the first generation that will actually not outlive their parents in terms of life expectancy. And so, really, where a lot of health comes from is obviously what the parents' perception or idea of health is, and that gets passed along to our children. Um, Oops, I'm going too fast here. Sorry about this, folks. Sorry, I am apologize for this. Again, preventable illness makes up about 70% of the burden of childhood illnesses and the associated expenses. Again, New England Journal of Medication. So, really, a lot of the issues that we see in our children are preventable issues that, again, given good habits and good information when they're younger and creating those healthy habits could really prevent a lot of issues and a host of other conditions as they get older. So what is this? What is causing this in the younger folks? Like I said, it's that lifestyle. It's things like you see here, gaming, sitting on screen times. We have so much more of this. I mean, this is our reality, right? Is sitting, we're hunched over. We've got these very, very poor postures. It's the lifestyle that's causing a lot of the issues that we see in our younger kids. And so that's really what we want to do is to really change that and make sure that we give them good, healthy habits so that way they don't become, you know, come down with some of these conditions and things like that we can really are, again, as you saw by the previous slide, are preventable because they're lifestyle choices. So really the three main causes of sickness and chronic childhood problems are moving poorly, thinking poorly, and eating poorly. And we're going to kind of dive into some of these each individually. I apologize ahead of time if this is really seems very brief, because really we could probably spend about an hour long seminar really on each of these subtopics here. So again, if you have any questions, throw it in the comment section below there. So we're going to talk about movement. Really, where movement starts is from the birth process. That can really create, we use this term in the office called subluxation. That can really cause the first subluxation is the birthing process. On average, the birthing process is actually one of the most traumatic things that an individual will go through in their life. And again, other things that happen as kids grow older is, falls, chronic posture trauma, those sitting for long periods of time. So this is really where it starts, is the movement or the lack thereof movement. Common things that we see because of subluxation or a lack of movement within the spine, this is more pertaining to the really young ones, are things like latching difficulties, colic, torticollis, ear infections, digestive issues, sinus, ears, nose, and throat problems, asthma, again, postural and structural changes, coordination, and then what we call dural tension, which is just tension within that spinal cord. And so these are very common things that would bring an infant into our office. Again, movement is very important, and you can see where if some of these issues come up for these children, that oftentimes the first place or this first quote unquote solution or thing that we throw at the issue is a medication, and that can really start them down a path that leads them to a lifetime of medication. And I'm not saying that medication is not necessary. There's definitely a time and a place, but a lot of these things that you see on the screen here, they start because of complications in birth, or a difficult birth, and that can be helped with chiropractic. And so this is a lot of these things we see very, very frequently in the office that we help with, really just giving those young ones a good head start on life. So again, birth trauma, I'm not going to go too much into this, just again, it's just stating that uncomplicated deliveries take about 90 pounds of pull on the spinal cord, and then it can stretch up to just over 2 inches, which is really crazy. There's a German, you can see the second bullet point, there's a German physiotherapist, I think is what he was, but just studied more than 1,000 births and found that 80% of those infants were born with what's called KISS syndrome, which is kinematic imbalance with suboccipital strain. Basically, that's a fancy term for what we call subluxation. or a misalignment of the vertebrae at the top of the spinal cord because of the birthing process. And then those observations of motor development and manual control of that joint should be assessed after birth. So again, we talk about pregnancy, and these are just some things that you can do while you're pregnant. It's very important to get adjusted throughout pregnancy. I've had a number of moms that have been adjusted throughout birth, and then I see their little ones, and they do fantastic with that birthing process because they're taking care of their body and making sure that things are moving the way that it should. But some other things that you can do during pregnancy to again just start that out is taking supplements, so things like vitamin D, and we'll get into some more specifics. Vitamin D is very, very important for the mom as well as the baby. Exercising, that will help the development of the child's neurology, can depend on the movement of the mom. So really what mom does, which we'll see here going forward, can have a huge impact on the development of the baby. And just having that positive mental outlook, again, the way that you think can affect hormones, and then those hormones can then affect the development of the baby, the child's brain development. You can see down here, it says the human brain adds 350,000 neurons per minute for the first 6 months, or 6,000 per second. The way we eat, move, and think has direct impact on how the neurology develops. So really what that's saying is everything that you do has an impact on how the body develops and the neurology of the body. Again, just some more kind of science related stuff. I'm not going to go too much into this, but just a lot, again, the red here, you can see children who received systematic prenatal stimulation through music finds that these children show higher levels of attention, vocalization than those exposed to music later. So again, this is just, again, reiterating that what you do even before the baby is born has a huge impact on how they develop. And then keeping them active. It's unfortunate that physical education is starting to be weaned out of curriculum nowadays, but movement is very, very important. Exercise, movement and exercise is really the nutrition to the brain. That's where you get, spine. The movement from the spine gives that nutrition to the brain, and so half hour of walking 5 days a week can increase learning by 12%. Especially now as the weather gets nicer, get outside, move around. Sitting in the chairs, it turns off of your, turns off your posture control center or system, and can lead to those injuries. So just get out and move. Doesn't matter what it is, just get out and move. Again, this is just reiterating what I kind of said this, that 90% of the stimulation and nutrition to the brain is generated by the movement of the spine. And this is why it's really important to get adjusted, because the movement of the spine is what's directly related to giving that stimulation and nutrition to the brain. And so if the spine's not moving, that brain is getting bad information. We kind of always say garbage in, garbage out, and that applies to the movement of the spine and the brain in this situation, but it also applies to the food and the nutrition that you put in your body. If you're putting garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. Whatever you eat is what your body becomes. And so making sure that you're being aware of that. You have a window of opportunity, obviously, as kids grow. They have those formative years where there's a lot of neurology, dendrite formation, so just neurological formation that's occurring. This is the big window to expose them to things, get them involved in things, and getting that stimulation so that they can continue to develop and get proper stimulation. As you can see at the bottom there, it helps increase IQ scores, all this stuff. So just movement, any type of positive stimulation. The next is thinking properly. So we talk about self-esteem. Again, I think it was, don't quote me on who said it was, who that said this quote, but I think it was like Henry Ford, and he says, no matter whether you think you're right or you're wrong, you're right. Or something like that, right? No matter whether you think you're right or wrong, you're always going to be correct. And that's true. It's what your mental aspect, and we see this now, especially with the circumstances that we're going through in a COVID age. Your thinking processes are so important to making sure that you're thinking positively. You're speaking positively about yourself, about your kids. It's crazy what they pick up, guys. Like, with the 5-year old, like, and I see it. It's kind of sad. Like, you can see some of these kids and how um, they pick up these things at a very very young age, and it's just kind of like really makes you step back and think. So, um, like I said, your belief system it drives your behaviors 100% of the time. So just making sure that you're thinking positively. Really, again, whether that's consciously or subconsciously, our belief systems they dictate our behavior. So your subconscious mind is expressed as internal dialogue representing our belief system. So again, just all these different things are going to influence that thought process and that belief system. Again, that emotional hygiene aspect. We live in an information age. We're exposed to massive amounts of input daily. So really, you have the choice to decide what's coming in. Again, that garbage in, garbage out analogy. Turn the news off. It's just there's so much negative information out there. So making sure that you're putting that positive information in, just like we brush our teeth on a daily basis to prevent our teeth from rotting, we must incorporate that kind of that emotional hygiene and making sure that we're filtering out all that negative stuff. So again, kind of programming your subconscious for success. This is kind of what we call like daily affirmations. And I see here, Deb, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. There we go. That's what it was. That was right along there. But making daily affirmations for not only yourself but your children, right? Like standing in front of the mirror and just having a very short, sweet little saying maybe that you have. I can't remember what movie it is, but there's a movie that my wife watched previously, and they have a little saying like that. It's like, I don't remember what movie it is, but it's like, you're strong, you're beautiful, you're smart. But just something simple like that you would repeat with your children can really help set them up subconsciously for that success and getting those daily affirmations and that good information in. Again, our children model our behavior and our belief system. So again, if you want your kids to have that positive mindset, that positive thought process, kind of look in the mirror, so to say, and see what you're saying and what you're doing. Like I said, those kids, they soak it up. They're a sponge, and they're going to model what they see from you. So always working on improving ourselves. And then lastly, here's eating properly. Again, like I said, this could be an hour long, probably a 2 hour long seminar that we go over. But these are just going to be some of the very surface level stuff. Actually, next month we're going to do a nutrition 101, so we can jump into this a little bit more with regards to this. So eating healthy, just avoiding GMOs, high fructose corn syrups, and trans fats. Don't let your kids skip breakfast ever. So just getting that good nutrition in right away. Varying it up, eggs, high fiber cereal, yogurt with fruit. Excuse me. Obviously, the less processed, the better. Perfect example of that is butter. I have this somewhere else, and maybe we'll go into this more in depth with the nutrition 101. But I have a picture of real butter and margarine in a dish, and then there's ants that are crawling all over it, and it's kind of fun to see what the ants are actually attracted to. They're attracted to the real butter, not the margarine, because it's less processed. It's actual real food. Using grass-fed products instead of grain-fed products, that's extremely hard nowadays. There's it's crazy. Some of those, nutrition, right? Get on Netflix and type in some of these documentaries. Like, it's crazy what goes into our food. It's actually sickening. And so this is a very tough subject, like I said, because of that. Another kind of a fun thing is just sticking to the perimeter of the grocery store. That's generally speaking where all of the quote unquote real food is. That's the stuff that expires. If it expires, that's actually a good thing. That means that it's much healthier for you. If the shelf life of the food item is longer than your life expectancy, it's probably not good to eat. And then just choosing healthy snacks, fruits and vegetables, all natural peanut butter, yogurts, nuts, those types of things. Just balancing your macronutrients, so your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. A very common thing that we'll jump into next month about fat. Fat does not make you fat. Fat is actually really good for you. You need fat for hormone production, all these types of things. It's just the types of fat. You need healthy fats. And then last but not least is portion size, obviously matters with regards to healthy eating. Again, just kind of an example here. I mean, we have a ton of these examples, but most people would look at a Nutri-Grain bar and think, oh, it's extremely healthy for you. But then you look at the ingredients, and there's high fructose corn syrup, sugar, maltodextrin, fructose, which are just those are just other names for sugar. Um, Again, another rule of thumb when you look at a label, the two rules of thumb, I guess, with reading the labels, is the least amount of ingredients on the label, the better, right? So, like if you pick up an apple at a grocery store, it doesn't have a label because you're looking at an apple. That's what it is. Again, here, if you see all this stuff, I mean, that's a ton of stuff in just a Nutri-Grain bar. But then the second thing is if you can't pronounce it, look it up. It's probably not good to consume it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about supplements. So EPA, DHA. So those are just healthy fats. Those are going to help important for like brain health. So we're talking about like a fish oil, very important for kids. Fruits and vegetables. Obviously, if you can't eat them, there are plentiful supplements out there in terms of different drinks that you can shake up with just mix in water that gives you fruits and vegetables, supplement forms to help with that. Very, very important there. Multivitamin and minerals, obviously, just that broad spectrum support, getting different minerals and antioxidants, things like that. Vitamin D, I would say, is one of the most important. Most all Americans, I can't remember the exact percentage, but most Americans are deficient in vitamin D, whether you live in the northern part of the country or southern part of the country. So it's very, very important. One thing with vitamin D, obviously you can see in here, important for bone and health, but it also helps with immune system. But vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, so that means that it requires fat to be able to absorb into your body. And then vitamin C, obviously very, very important. And then probiotics. A lot of research with probiotics and what's called gut flora or your microbiome. Again, that's another seminar that we could go into. But very, very important, probiotics, getting that good bacteria into your body, helping with digestion and immune function, all those types of things. So just kind of some action steps for you, shutting off the computer, the TV, the video games, like we'd said. We spend a lot of time in front of those screens, so staying away from that. Stand guard at your child's mouth, just balance and moderation is really important with this. I mean, you want to not be hawking over them, but again, they're going to watch what you do, and if you're eating good foods, they're going to eat good foods. Exercise with your children. Again, that goes to creating that habits. The more that you do with them, they're going to that habit is going to be instilled in them. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like I said, going for a walk, getting outside, whatever the case is. Read and engage with your children. Maybe some spiritual rituals, things like that. But reading, again, we talked about the importance with development with regards to that, not only when they're still in the womb, but then when they come here too. Eating family meals, getting your kids involved in cooking the healthy foods and meals, that's huge too. Just again, another thing to help create those habits. Taking your kids to the grocery store again, sticking to their perimeter, and then teaching your kids about making bad choices with regards to food. Again, teach your children that they will become their thoughts. Again, Deb had said and corrected me on that. That's Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So again, whatever you're telling yourself, that self-thought and that self-talk is very, very important. And your kids do that. It's crazy. I'm telling you, they do it. And so anything that you can do to keep positive influence with them, from a thought process, do it. And then who really again, who you speak or who you are speaks so loudly. So again, that's just creating the habits and controlling your kids' environment. So that's all I have for you folks. I don't think we have any questions in here. Deb, yes, it is the movie The Help. That's exactly what it is. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. So something simple like that, creating that ritual, positive thought process. I don't see any questions in here. So if you guys have any questions, watch the playback here. Throw those questions in the comments section.